Self-discipline does not begin with action, effort, or force. It begins with thought. Every result in your life is first created in the mind, long before it ever shows up in your behavior. People often believe they lack discipline because they cannot control their actions. But the truth is much deeper than that. You can never permanently change what you do until you first change how you think. The mind is the control center. It is the place where decisions are made. Habits are formed and identities are reinforced. When the mind is undisciplined, behavior will always follow that disorder. When the mind is trained, behavior naturally aligns without struggle. Your actions are not random. They are expressions of your inner programming. This programming has been built over years through repetition, environment, and emotional experiences. What you consistently think about yourself becomes your reality. If you hold an inner belief that discipline is hard, painful, or unnatural for you, your mind will resist it at every step. Not because you are weak, but because the subconscious mind's job is to keep you consistent with who you believe you are. It will always guide you back to familiar patterns, even if those patterns are limiting. Self-discipline, therefore, is not about fighting yourself. It is about understanding yourself. When you realize that your mind operates on laws, not opinions, you stop blaming circumstances and start working with principles. One of those principles is that the subconscious mind accepts whatever is impressed upon it through repetition and emotional involvement. It does not reason. It does not argue. It simply obeys. If you repeatedly think, "I am inconsistent," or "I struggle to stay disciplined," your mind accepts that as truth and organizes your behavior to prove it. The moment you begin to consciously choose your thoughts, you take back control. Discipline begins when awareness begins. Awareness of what you are thinking, what you are saying to yourself, and what inner image you are holding. Every time you observe a thought instead of automatically believing it, you weaken the old pattern. And every time you intentionally replace that thought with a new one, you begin forming a new mental habit. This is not imagination. This is how the mind has always worked. You do not rise to discipline through willpower. Willpower is temporary and emotional. Mental conditioning is permanent and automatic. When your inner image changes, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling natural. You do not force yourself to act in alignment with who you believe you are. You do it effortlessly. This is why some people appear highly disciplined without stress. They are not fighting themselves. Their self-image supports their behavior. The mind responds to clarity. When you clearly define the person you intend to be, your thoughts begin to reorganize around that decision. Confusion weakens discipline. Clarity strengthens it. A disciplined mind knows what it stands for and what it no longer negotiates. It does not debate with distractions. It does not seek permission from comfort. It moves with quiet certainty because it has been trained to do so. Every habit you admire in others was once a thought they chose to repeat. Every standard they live by was first an internal decision. You cannot outperform your self-concept. If you see yourself as someone who starts and stops, your behavior will confirm that belief. If you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, your actions will gradually shift to match that identity. The mind always seeks harmony between belief and behavior. Training the mind requires patience, repetition, and persistence. You do not change years of conditioning overnight, but every conscious thought, every intentional affirmation, every moment of awareness plants a seed. Those seeds grow silently. At first, nothing seems different. Then one day you notice that you act without resistance. What once required effort now feels automatic. That is not luck. That is mental discipline taking root. When the mind is disciplined, action becomes aligned. When action is aligned, results become predictable. And when results become predictable, confidence is no longer dependent on mood or motivation. It becomes a quiet knowing. The discipline you seek is not outside of you. It is already within you, waiting to be activated through conscious thought, deliberate awareness, and consistent inner direction. Every habit you live with is a mirror of how you see yourself. Your daily behavior is not driven by your goals or your intentions. It is driven by your self-image. You will always act in a way that is consistent with the picture you hold of yourself on the inside. This is why people can know exactly what to do and still fail to do it. Knowledge does not control behavior. Identity does. If your self-image does not match the habit you are trying to build, the habit will never last. You do not rise to the level of what you want. You fall into alignment with what you believe you are. When a person says they want discipline but secretly sees themselves as inconsistent, easily distracted, or undisciplined, The subconscious mind rejects disciplined behavior, not because it is difficult, but because it feels unfamiliar. The mind always chooses what is familiar over what is better. Familiar feels safe, even when it produces unwanted results. Your self-image was not created by accident. It was formed through repeated experiences, emotional reactions, and the opinions you accepted as truth. Words spoken to you in the past, moments of failure, criticism, and comparison all helped shape how you see yourself today. Over time, those impressions became beliefs, and beliefs once accepted become instructions for behavior. You live out what you believe, not what you wish. This is why trying to force discipline usually fails. You cannot sustain behavior that conflicts with your identity. If you see yourself as someone who quits, your mind will look for reasons to stop. If you see yourself as someone who delays, your mind will find comfort in postponement. The behavior is not the problem. The self-image behind it is. Change the self-image and behavior changes naturally without struggle. Your subconscious mind works to protect your identity at all costs. It filters opportunities, ideas, and actions through the question, is this who I am? If the answer is no, resistance appears. If the answer is yes, action feels easy. This is why self-discipline becomes effortless for some people. They are not using more energy. They are simply acting in harmony with who they believe themselves to be. The moment you begin to consciously redefine yourself, you begin to loosen the grip of old habits. Identity is not fixed. It is learned, and anything that is learned can be relearned. You do not need to wait for results to change how you see yourself. You must change how you see yourself first, and results will follow. Acting as the person you intend to become is not pretending. It is training the subconscious mind through deliberate alignment. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you send a message to your subconscious that this is who you are now. Each act of follow-through strengthens the new identity. Each moment of consistency reinforces the new self-image. Over time, the old image loses emotional power. The new image becomes familiar.